Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy, I need no sympathy, because I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low. Any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. To me. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away. Mama, ooh, didn't mean my time has come. Sent shivers down my spine, body's aching all the time. Goodbye, everybody, I've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and face the truth. Mama, I don't wanna die. Sometimes wish I'd never been born at I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me. Galileo, Figaro. Magnifico! I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family, sparing his life from this monstrosity. Easy come, easy go, will you let me go? Bismillah, no, we will not let you go. Let him go! Bismillah, we will not let you go. Let him go! Bismillah, we will not let you go. Let me go! We'll not let you go. Let me go! We'll not let you go. Never let me go! Oh, mamma mia, mamma mia. Mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me. For me, for me. So you think you can stop me and spit my eye? So you think you can love me and leave me to die? Oh, baby, can't do this to me, baby. Just gotta get out, just gotta get right out of here. Nothing really matters. Anyone can see. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters to me.
Dershowitz is a longtime friend of Epstein's who represented him in the criminal underage sex case.
I never saw a young underage woman. I kept my underwear on during the massage.
Gun or rope?
Welcome to the EdgeStream, everybody. So great to be back with you all here. Another Wednesday night. We have a great show, obviously. The Epstein files have been released. We're going to be going over that. There's so much to get into. There's a lot of history behind this. This has been a long time coming. This is going to have huge repercussions going forward into the future as well. We already see that the crypto market is tanking quite a bit. But just the overall trust of our society has completely eroded. It's been slowly eroding for a long time. But this has given a significant blow to it. And there's so many things at play here. With this new Epstein file release, it's actually much more significant than the last few Epstein file releases because there's just so much revelations of how the elites interact with each other, the nature of their interactions, of who they are, and what their intentions are. There's not too much overly sensational, like they're eating children and they're sacrificing them to Moloch for satanic rituals or any of that stuff. They could possibly be doing that, and we'll be investigating all of the information and evidence that suggests whether or not they're actually doing those kinds of things. They're definitely trafficking underage girls and using them as blackmail, as well as for their own sexual pleasure, these sick fucks. So we'll be getting into all of that, parsing away the truth from the fiction here tonight. And we'll be looking into all the different players that are involved in these situations, people who are intimately involved in the Epstein files, people like Donald Trump, people like Elon Musk, the whole Democratic Party. But not necessarily, because I personally think that they're involved in other pedophilia scandals that don't have to do with... I think, like Epstein, he is bipartisan with his blackmail and his Mossad connections, but Epstein himself is more of a Republican Party guy, even with his own beliefs, because he himself is a hardcore Jewish race realist racist, kind of like me, except for I'm not Jewish, and I don't think that I'm a chosen one and that the goy are under me. I don't think that financial speculation on international markets is a positive thing that I should be propagating and enforcing amongst society, like people like Epstein and his other Jewish financiers. I don't think that that's a good thing, right? And I also don't think that pedophilia and sex trafficking of minors is a good thing either. So we're going to be going in depth into this whole phenomenon tonight. But first, we got to address the chat. We got to see who's here, and I gotta tell you, we're live right now on YouTube, Rumble, Entropy, and Twitter. I see over on Entropy, Al Stern is throwing some slashes and giving a cheers. Appreciate that, man. If you guys want to donate at all, the best platforms to do that are Entropy and Rumble. Entropy takes a very low cut if you want to donate to steer the conversation in any way, by, giving a super chat, and then I'll respond to it, and I'll try my best to make it worth it or while. Also, if you just want to leave a tip because you think I'm doing good work here, I'm also doing a lot of work behind the scenes, so any tip, any donation would be greatly appreciated. And it will go towards good work. Like, I'm basically a full-time activist with the people that I talk to, and not to disclose too much, but yeah, anything helps. in that regard. And it will be going towards good things. And I want to say, if you donate on Rumble, one of the best ways to do that is by gifting subscriptions. So if you can figure out how to gift subscriptions on Rumble, it gives the most percentage to me instead of Rumble rants. So when you go in Super Chat, Rumble takes about 20 or 30%. It seems like they take like 5 or less percent if you go and donate subscriptions to other people, like you gift subscriptions. So that would be greatly appreciated. And I'm going to go read the chats now, and from here on out, that's how you do it. I'm going to go pin something in the YouTube chat just to get everybody doing that. 1 second. Because YouTube is fake and gay. They could cut me off at any time. And they take like 40 to 50% of Super Chat. So anyone donating on YouTube is a sucker. Because you're giving it to Susan Wojcicki, or whoever the successor to her is, because she died. But yeah, you're giving it to Susan. You're giving it to Wojcicki. Let's just say that. All right. What are people saying on YouTube? Edgy bought the quarter zip. No, this is a Conquer Not Stolen sweater. This is definitely not the Epstein quarter zip that Nick Fuentes is selling, which is in the thumbnail, as you can see here. We'll be getting into that. But no, this is from actually OperationEnsign.ca. And I'm going to plug that in the chat right now, because this is a great brand. Canadiana being sold. I hear they're helping our guys with like kicking it up to them for a lot of the profits. So the profits. So I'm going to drop that in the chat. If you guys want to buy some good merch, including this sweater and this hat right here, this nice toque with a nice embroidered red ensign on it, then you could do that at OperationEnsign.ca. Okay, am I done shilling things? I want to read the fucking chat. Our people are home, our future, says Tyler Fearless OG. That's awesome, dude. Hail Epstein. No, we're not hailing Epstein. We're going to do a deep dive into him, though. Good entry music. Yep. People were pissed off that I canceled Pantera for a second in order to play Queen. But that's just how it goes. That's what I planned on playing. Johnny Rodden says, I bet Al Stern is in the files. He might be in the Edgy files constructed by CSIS if he donates some on Rumble. Oh, shit, he did donate on Entropy. Okay, you're definitely in the Edgy files then, Al Stern. Jeez. And he says, I think Johnny Rodden spent too much time today making sure his name was fully redacted from the files. So Johnny Rodden and Al Stern are having a battle over YouTube and Entropy. Yeah, it was really funny reading some of these Epstein files, because the redactions, they don't necessarily make sense as to who and why and how they redacted people. Because in some portions, it's just Epstein being redacted or Steve Bannon being redacted. And then you could see the same document and their names are not redacted. It was, I don't know if it was a rushed job or there was someone on the inside who was, you know, maybe in this document, I won't redact it and I'll get a bit lazy with it on purpose so that people know who is talking here. It's not, it's hard to tell what's actually going on, but To say that redactions are only to protect victims is absolute bullshit. Redactions are to help the predators in this case, as constructed by the people in the government who are trying to withhold all the information. Over on Rumble, Tarps is saying Edgy has aura. Well, I appreciate it, man. I don't have the Epstein quarter zip like Nick Fuentes does, but I hope I have some aura. I hope I'm not just a stupid goyim. Raw Primo says, Edgy's my favorite. I used to love him in that show. He used to be in Little People, Big World, so he's calling me a fucking manlet. Well, I'm gonna call you a fucking fatlet or a chunklet, okay? Fuck you. But I appreciate you participating in my chat. You are pretty jacked, and you might be able to beat me up at this point. I don't know. We're gonna have to fight this one out. And thank you, Intrusive Thoughts, for gifting 5 subscriptions. That's much appreciated. Intrusive Thoughts. You know, that's $25 more given to me and not to the Jewish pedophile blackmail establishment with Epstein. So your dollars are in good hands right here. I'm actually going to expose them instead. Bigot Bullock gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you so much as well. If this is the Bigot Bullock that I think it is, then 07s, I really appreciate it, and I'm hoping to see you soon in the future, in real life. And he gifted another 5 subscriptions. This is just getting crazy now. All right. Well, I appreciate it very much. The support will not go unnoticed. But you know what else will not go unnoticed? Is what these motherfucking Jews are doing to our society.
Dershowitz is a longtime friend of Epstein's who represented him in the criminal underage sex case.
I never saw a young underage woman. I kept my underwear on during the massage.
Gun or rope?
I chose gun that time. But anyways, let's get into these Epstein files. So first, in order to just give a briefing of what's going on in an entertaining way, because I also don't want to make this depressing. I don't want to make this too information dense, where it's just like, oh, we're going to go and dissect the files for 7 hours straight, and we're going to see what's going on, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. Let's make this entertaining. Let's make this informative, and let's make this so that you guys have something to come out of this with. You have some new insights. You have some new ways in how you deal with all the players involved and their opinions. And I'm going to shout out Nick Larshay, Tarpsoff89, I believe he is. He sent me this video. Hold on. There's OperationEnsign.ca right there if you want to look at it. But Nick Larshay, he sent me this video, and I'm a guy who has followed Pizzagate, Pedogate, whatever you want to call it. I've been following this stuff since 2016. One of the earliest people following this stuff in this scene. In 2019, when the Jeffrey Epstein stuff became more mainstream, and he got arrested and hung himself, supposedly, I was all on top of that, so I have a great historical perspective on how things played out from the beginning. But this AI video here, it's obviously fake, and in it, Jeffrey Epstein goes from scene to scene that has some kind of relevance to what he has been accused, or there is evidence of him and the people he's associated with. So this is a fun video just to kind of recollect, have a retrospect on some of the people he's been involved with in the past, and then from there on forward, we'll get into like all the hard evidence. So I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to make a little bit of commentary going through it. So here he is going to... I'm going to turn on the music, because it's just music, and it's annoying. He's going into Little St. James Island. That's what Epstein's Island, like the main building in Epstein's Island, looks like on Little St. James Island. I don't know what that is. Missing Johnny Gosh. So that's probably some kid that went missing. Okay, so pizza. Pizza is a code. There's lots of pizza here. Pizza, as per the FBI, pizza is a code word among pedophiles for like little boys or little girls. It's a code word for pedophilia. And then you have Dan Schneider, who's one of the showrunners at Nickelodeon, who is known for sexual exploitation of minors, allegedly multiple times, including a lot of weird feet stuff with children. So he's definitely a fucking creep. There's no way that you would let this guy anywhere near your children if you had seen what he has done or what people have said he's done. This is a freak. So now he's running over to, I don't know, that's Kendrick Lamar, the new Negro of the Month. Grammys. But Weinstein and Jay-Z are behind him. Obviously, Weinstein, another Jew, that is sex for movie roles for all the starlets, like Jennifer Lawrence. Jay-Z is like a top Freemason and somebody who's definitely involved in this swamp of creatures here. Owners of sports ball teams, you know that they're fucking Jewish. So all of them, like not all of them, but so many of them. There's one owner of multiple teams that was pushing all this Jewish propaganda, including into Canada, making movies about Holocaust denial in Canada. Literally, like stuff that does not concern people who should be owning national and NBA or MLB sports team. Then you have Donald Sterling, who got canceled because he didn't want his daughter hanging out with Shaq, and then they exposed him, and it was his Jewish anti-goy and anti-black racism that did him in the end, and he got totally canceled. But either way, you have all these Jewish multi-millionaire or billionaire sports team owners, sports betting, sports ball, all this crap. Extremely Jewish. Don't join into the bread and circus, guys. It's all a fucking distraction. If you want to do something with sports, then play sports. Get a bunch of guys together to have some camaraderie and play that sport together. Don't fucking be a sports ball watcher or spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to get seats at a sports ball game. That's fucking pathetic. Unless you're going to subvert it with like a banner drop or something, then absolutely do that. But, you know, that'll be coming to a sports ball game near you, hopefully. So now he's going to take a selfie with Harvey Levin, the CEO, the owner of TMZ, and you could see in the background 40 beheaded babies, because yes, that is the kind of propaganda that Jewish supremacists were putting out after October 7th, that there was 40 beheaded babies during the October 7th attacks from the Palestinian terrorists. Of course that wasn't true, and of course someone like Harvey Levin, who has been proven to be an Epstein associate, Epstein says he's a good friend of mine in the new Epstein files. So Harvey Levin of TMZ, who, when I typed in Jeffrey Epstein on YouTube just to see what would come up, TMZ was one of the first things that came up. So why is the media news outlet of somebody who is one of Epstein's good friends, another Jew, who's a homosexual too, by the way, so into degeneracy, why is he one of the top search results for media news about Epstein? We'll be getting into more of that soon tonight. There's a lot to say about that. Of course, Bill Gates with herpes on his lips. Oh, I don't want to spoil that one because that's a good one. It might give a bit more insight onto why Melinda divorced him and took half of his shit, or most of his shit probably, without him being able to do shit about it. Why? Because he has fucking herpes on his lips. From Russian hookers? I don't know. Did he try to drug his own wife with the help of Epstein? I don't know. We'll see about that. Oh, and we have, what is that? Prince Andrew, Kevin Spacey, Bill Clinton, and some, what is that, Chris Tucker? I think it's Chris Tucker. I don't know. He was on the Epstein flight logs. But Kevin Spacey, he, I don't know, sexually assaulted a 14-year-old boy when he was, much younger, but, 25 or 30 years old. And he got totally canceled over that. So now he's in the pool with... I'm sure he would have loved to hang out with Epstein. I don't know if he's in the files or not. Prince Andrew, he's one of the worst guys. He's probably one of Epstein's main clients. We'll get into him.
Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need,
The Pope and Mother Teresa, I don't get that one.
anything at all.
Dalai Lama, I don't know, he's probably weird.
Every time I
So, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, his mistress, who, according to a lot of victim statements, was worse than Epstein. Epstein was nice compared to her. She was vicious and brutal. She was the madame, the madam, or whatever you call them, of this sex trafficking ring. In fact, one of the victim statements that I had read about was that she was procuring other girls. She was getting other girls to procure other prostitutes, other young girls, to sex traffic with Epstein. So she had kind of a harem going on of women, and she was trying to get them to get underage girls. And one of them, this is her testimony, she brought in girls that were overage, and told her that they were underage because that's what she asked for. And then when she found out that these overage girls were not underage like was promised, that she got very mad and then raped the girl who brought them in, who was supposed to be procuring these underage girls, with a gigantic dildo in order to punish her. That is what victims have been saying about Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently rotting in prison. I heard she got a prison transfer into a cushier prison. Cushier prison. It could have been as a result of Kushner, one of the Jews that is puppeteering Trump at this point. But anyways, that's just a small introduction on Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's madame, lover, and friend, associate who helps him conduct his whole operation. Her father, Robert Maxwell, Mossad agent, one of the top Mossad agents that has been involved in many companies integrating, including school books, American school books, elementary school books, owning companies like that. But part of a greater Israeli blackmail Mossad operation, to the point where he tried to blackmail the rest of the Israeli government and Mossad. And as per the Epstein files, Epstein himself says that Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was killed by Israeli agents or Mossad because he was trying to blackmail them by telling him that he's going to reveal all their secrets if they don't give him what he wants. So they threw him overboard of a ship and he died. That's fucking crazy. You can only get that with...
Choo, 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 choo.
Oh, and in the background, I didn't even get to that. All the computers have Wikipedia, so Epstein has other Jews that are trying to control Wikipedia for him in order to help rehabilitate his image, including in his emails. They have one guy, one Jew, one fat Jew in France who ended up dying mysteriously. But he said that he was hacking Wikipedia in order to fix Jeffrey Epstein's Wikipedia file so that it didn't say that he was a pedo. And it had a more generous interpretation of him. And of course, if you know, Wikipedia is always going to be some of the most top search results that you'll find on any person. So they're trying to change his picture, they're trying to change the description, and this person that was emailing him said that, don't worry, we hacked into Wikipedia and we got all the people banned who were trying to make sure you looked like a pedophile, which you are. So we got them all banned by hacking into Wikipedia. So that's funny. It's also hypothesized that Epstein and or Maxwell were involved with the creation of 4chan and that they were heavily involved in it, including specific usernames being used by Ghislaine Maxwell. So that's why that's in the background. And 4chan is known for like some of the most right-wing views. Poll specifically. Poll on 4chan is where a lot of people got red-pilled and spent their time. But there's a lot of also trolls and Jewish Hasbara trolls who try and fuck with 4chan, especially Poll, in order to try and get their narratives across or try to demoralize people who are on these free speech platforms. Because it's so anonymous, they can get away with a lot of things there. So you have Epstein in front of the Island Boys. I think that's mostly just a joke because Epstein has Epstein Island. But on the left, you have Nick Fuentes, who is wearing the Jeffrey Epstein sweater, half zip. Nick Fuentes has been selling Jeffrey Epstein merch in an ironic bid to be, I guess, funny, irreverent, edgy. It is what it is, and we'll get into that a bit later in this episode.
Everything about you tells me I'm your man.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what dealings he has with the CEO of Activision or whoever this is, but microtransactions in video games, yes, that's definitely a huge Jewy grift right there. A way to make money off of all sorts of vulnerable people. It's really bad. I know that Steve Bannon, who is heavily involved in the Epstein files and a good friend of Epstein, he had like a whole Chinese sweatshop of little Chinese freaks and children who are making 25 cents an hour, like farming farming assets for microtransactions in order to sell microtransactions for video games. So there's definitely something fucked going on with video games and turning video games that used to be like you play Tony Hawk Pro Skater on the PlayStation or you play Halo on your Xbox, and now everything is turning into spend, including, I saw something on Reddit, I assume it's true, but it was fucked up, on Roblox. Some little 5-year-old kid spent $17,000 on Roblox with so-called gifts. And then once people, over the course of 3 or 4 days, when the parent wasn't paying attention, he ended up spending $17,000 worth of gifts just giving away to people. And once people online predators found out that, oh, this is a kid, let's milk this kid for all his gifts because he has access to a credit card. This is the kind of thing that is being promoted throughout video game culture. Extremely dishonest, extremely Jewy.
My life to be.
And I guess that is the Federal Reserve, because I can see Janet Yellen creeping down low in the back. I think that's Alan Greenspan, former CEO or leader of the Federal Reserve, directly to the left of Jeffrey Epstein's head. Is that Bernard Bernanke, also on the far left?
No one can do
Yeah.
the thing.
And Bitcoin, yeah, he's crushing Bitcoin, but also creating it to some extent. Yeah, and then you have ISIS, because the Mossad and the Israelis, they're supposed to be like, Islam hates Jews, right? So then why aren't all these Islamists attacking Jews? Why isn't ISIS attacking Israel? Why isn't ISIS attacking Jews? It's because they're partially funded by them. It's because they operate in the same networks. ISIS is meant not to oppose the Jewish state of Israel as they pretend like it does, but instead it's to fuck with all the enemies of Israel so that they could enact their greater Israel project that all started with the project of the new American century that the neocons created in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but finally came into action after 9/11. And then they had the false flag that they wanted to go and invade all the countries in the Middle East in order to advantage the greater Israel project.
You got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything else.
So Robert De Niro, and I don't know who that other guy is, so I guess that's just capturing the celebrities. And then all the presidents, like the Bushes, Obama, was that Putin there? Then you have 2 Bidens, one short Biden and one extremely tall Biden.
Anything you want.
Oh, yeah. And then you remember this scene when they all pretended like it was the official first Epstein files release, and all these kosher conservatives had the Epstein files in their hands, but they were all completely redacted. It was all a complete nothing burger that first time. So when they gave all these binders and files to them, supposedly, so you have DC Drano, you have Libs of TikTok, you have Jack Posobiec in the far right back corner, you have Kash Patel, who I get he's like the FBI director, and all of these people are just lying about it. And these influencers, so-called, they're actually operatives. They're ingratiating themselves by pretending to be a part of the resistance, even though absolutely nothing was uncovered. It was like Jeffrey Epstein is doing. It was a pure selfie moment.
Anything you need, anything at all.
And the man himself, Trump. You have Zuckerberg, who is now simping for Trump. Although I have to say, he has lightened, he has laxed the censorship on Meta, so that's Facebook and Instagram. They're still huge on censorship, but a lot less worse than they were before. So I'll give them that. You have Kushner in there somewhere. You have Elon Musk at the back. And of course, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. You can't have a Jewish conspiracy without him. Well, you definitely can, because it runs so fast, but... there you have it. The Jewish Epstein conspiracy.
Dershowitz is a longtime friend of Epstein's who represented him in the criminal underage sex case.
I never saw a young underage woman. I kept my underwear on during the massage.
Gun or rope?
I'm just going to read the chat, because there's probably a lot that happened since then. I just went through a lot there. I dropped a lot of tidbits of information to kind of set the stage for the show tonight. Yeah, it's wild. Really shows us that it's a stage and we are not in the club. Yep. Jews, yep. Dr. Genstein says nothing better than a mouthful of Trump cum. Okay, well, we're gonna get into that. I don't know how true that specific thing is, or whether the girl laughed or not after she got the mouthful of Trump cum. So we're gonna be looking at evidence and trying to weigh it out whether it was legit or not. But in the meantime, I'm going to play you a song, and I'm going to be right back, and then we're going to get right into it. So, what do you guys want to hear? Love is the Drug by Roxy Music. All right, we'll be right back.
In store, love is the drug, and I need to score. Showing up, hit and run. Boy meets girl where the beat goes on. Stitched up tight, can't shake free. Love is the drug.
Park my car, stake my place in the singles bar. Face to face, toe to toe, heart to heart as we hit the floor. Lumber up, limbo down, the locked embrace, the stumble around. I say go, she say yes. Dim the lights, you can guess the rest. Oh, catch that buzz. Love is the drug I'm thinking of. Oh, can't you see? Love is the drug, got a hook in me. Oh, get that buzz. Love is the drug I'm thinking of. Oh, can't you see? Love, the drug for me. Oh, oh,
And we're back. Alright, we got a bunch to get into here tonight. Just to give a bit of context onto where this newest Epstein file release is coming from. So there's been multiple Epstein file releases, and a lot of them have been nothing burgers. I will say that the original Pizzagate file releases, or WikiLeaks, so the original WikiLeaks, which turned into Pizzagate, because within the WikiLeaks file releases, with all the emails, you found a lot of weird shit going on, which led to Pizzagate, which definitely had circumstantial evidence to indicate very strongly, and to me, beyond reasonable doubt, that there was mass pedophilia going on amongst elites in DC at the very least. But anyways, what's going on with this latest release of the Epstein files is that the representatives Ro Khanna of the Democrat Party and Thomas Massie of the Republican Party. However, Thomas Massie is like a black sheep of the Republican Party. He's a staunch libertarian. He's a white guy who likes his guns. He's like of the Ron Paul ilk. He definitely has some weird economic policy proposals, but at the same time, this guy has been staunchly anti-Zionist and has not accepted any AIPAC money. In fact, he's one of the only ones in Congress who has not done that. So Thomas Massie is a real one. He is a real motherfucking one. So this Jeet, Ro Khanna, this Jeet, it takes a Jeet to try to uncover the Epstein files properly. A Democrat Jeet named Ro Khanna. So Reps Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie delivered a letter to Department of Justice Attorney General Todd Blanche. So the AG, the Attorney General of the United States of America, Todd Blanche, and they demanded a review of the handling of the Epstein records. So this is them doing this, made it into law so that they have to reveal it. So if Pam Bondi, so Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, but the Attorney General is Pam Bondi, am I right? Yeah, so Pam Bondi is the Attorney General, but the Deputy Attorney General is Todd Blanche. Okay, so if Pam Bondi, this stupid bitch here, if she didn't agree to doing that, she could be arrested because this is like a law. They proposed the Epstein law, and somehow it passed. That made it so that they have to reveal the Epstein files. So the lawmakers cite concerns that documents remain entirely redacted, while others are released in ways that expose the identities of survivors. So these are two conflicting problems. One of them is that, like, all the people who are involved, like Epstein and all his co-conspirators, are fucking redacted. And they're saying, like, they're using, like, you would use redactions in order to protect the victims or to prevent, like, leaks from an ongoing investigation. So I guess maybe the latter, the ongoing investigation thing, could be legitimate, but I really think not, because there's no rhyme or reason as to why things were actually getting redacted. It seemed like just a hack job all around. But definitely that they're trying to use this redaction excuse as a way to redact all the guilty parties, especially considering the fact that there's, like, I don't know how many more there's like 3 million more pages or something crazy like that. Like, we haven't even gone close to the amount of actual files and emails that have been released. Sorry, that are available. That are even available. There's probably more that are unavailable, of course. But these are the things that are purported to have existed. There's at least like 3 million more pages. And then how many of them are going to be redacted? So they also note that the Federal Bureau of the FBI interview records with Epstein survivors from investigations in Florida, in New York, are fully redacted. So that means when he went to jail from the convictions in 2007 or 2008, but those are redacted. So the confirmed facts about who his co-conspirators were back when he originally got charged are completely redacted. So it takes out context of stuff, of people who were involved with when he legitimately got charged for trafficking minors for prostitution. They go on to say, we have seen a blanket approach to redaction in some areas, while in other cases, victim names were not redacted at all. Congress cannot properly assess the department's handling of the Epstein and Maxwell cases without access to the complete record. So they're asking for access to the complete record, and this is Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie signing this. I will say that one of the early ways that I saw interference on this Epstein case was from none other than right-wing influencers like Michael Cernovich. So for some victims of Epstein and Alan Dershowitz, I forget what her name was exactly, but Michael Cernovich was being one of the leaders within the right-wing movement of people who were saying that, hey, I am doing all the legal stuff that I need to do to get more disclosure on the Epstein case that they're trying to hide. He was pretending like he was going to uncover new information from the Epstein case. But really what he was doing was trying to unredact the information of all the victims and their testimony in order to further harass them. So that's what a right-wing influencer, Mike Cernovich's input to that situation was. But he framed it as if he was helping the victims. But what we found out later is that he has direct connections with Alan Dershowitz, the person who was the offender in this exact scenario. Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's lawyer. Alan Dershowitz, a media professional that has been mentoring, self-admittedly mentoring people like Mike Cernovich, who you guys probably know who he is. Because I'll tell you, in 2015 and 2016, when the first inklings of Pizzagate came out, Mike Cernovich was all over it. And he was making sure it didn't go anywhere significant to actually put anybody to justice. And that is what these kinds of people do. They are part of this network. And to expand on this further, there's been previous releases of these Epstein files, like throughout the 2000s, the 2020s, and many of them have been nothing burgers. This is probably the biggest one, which is why I'm doing a show about it. But back in 2016, like I was saying, Pizzagate was very significant. And this happened because of the WikiLeaks, where you had John Podesta and all these weird people being involved with Hillary Clinton. And here, I need to think for a second to properly explain this. So within Pizzagate, like this scandal, that's just like a broad name for a scandal that's involved with the WikiLeaks email dump that happened, where like millions of emails were hacked and leaked from very prominent people, especially the Democrat Party. And what it uncovered was that they were using terms like pizza and chicken and whatever else to indicate that it seems like they were indicating that they were trafficking minors for sex parties. And I can show you evidence of that right now. So, I don't have the actual emails pulled up right now, but the emails were just like, we had a pizza-related napkin that was left over at your party. Do you think you could hand over the pizza-related map to us, or should we wait for it? And this was like from Sandy Rosenberg. And then when you go and look at who Sandy Rosenberg is, it's like philanthropist worth $100 million. Like net worth, right? So these are the kind of people that you're dealing with. And then you're dealing with people like Tony Podesta, John Podesta, who is the main advisory for Hillary Clinton. Then you have one of the other main advisors, which was Anthony Weiner, who's married to Huma Abedin, who is like the direct secretary of Hillary Clinton, and he has what is supposedly the laptop from hell that a lot of people have been talking about, and he has been proven to be in contact with minors sexually and gone and been convicted over that. But this is the kind of artwork that is at John Podesta's brother Tony Podesta's house. And if you go dig deep into the Pizzagate mysteries, you look into Comet Ping Pong Pizza, which is one of the main places that DC elites went to go hang out, at pizza parties at Comet Ping Pong Pizza. And you see who owns that. It's James Alefantis. And you look at his Instagram account, and it's just filled with stuff like this, including pictures of Minor, where it's just like, how much for this pizza? Like, small children taped up, and it's like, pizza, chicken? Who wants a bite? Stuff like that. Stuff like that constantly. And then you go dig deeper as to what bands were performing at this Comet Ping Pong Pizza place. They're all involved with pedophilia imagery. Just stuff that, all the stuff you've heard about Pizzagate, they're involved with that kind of stuff. So this is the darkest of the dark. And I think that's what Pizzagate was involved with. And I think the Democrat Party, more than the Republican Party, is involved with this kind of actual satanic child murdering bullshit. This disgusting, it's very, like, people want to say that the elites, they all are eating children, they're all fucking children, they're all fucking and eating the children at the same time. I think that's actually very rare. They're absolutely degenerates, and a lot of them are blackmailed. But I think that there are some people who are connected to the Democratic Party that are doing stuff like what we're seeing in these pictures. That is more so their thing. I think Epstein is more involved with children a bit older and a bit less fucking psychotically murdering children with pedophiles and stuff. I think the Democrat Party is a bit worse, as we've seen in this Pizzagate stuff here. It's all bad, but I'm just giving you some historical reference and evidence of what's going on here. But that being said, like with Epstein, it's all been proven, right? Epstein trafficked minors in 2007. He got a sweetheart deal. And then everything from 2008 onward, every elite knows, if they were dealing with Epstein, that he has been charged and convicted with trafficking minors, or at least having sex with minors. And it was a sweetheart deal in order to get him down to that. So that's what we're dealing with all these people that are involved with what we're about to talk about. Like Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, as I mentioned before, Jean-Luc Brunel. That was the French guy that was procuring all the young girls that were being led into prostitution. He committed suicide in jail, I believe. And there's many other highly relevant accomplices. So the people that we're about to look into, there's a lot of speculation about them. But there's others that are like multi-billionaires that are very deeply and darkly invested into this situation that we all know about, but they're not getting the attention that they should, because now we have all these new celebrity names that were more marginally involved, like Elon Musk and Trump and Deepak Chopra, or, you know, whoever else. But Leon Black. I don't have his complete biography in front of me, but he is one of the main people that was involved, like a billionaire or multi-millionaire Jew who was involved and repeatedly pointed the finger at that he was sexually assaulting minors. Alan Dershowitz, another one as well. Somebody who is very famous. Very famous as being a lawyer and a conservative political pundit. And literally the lawyer of Epstein. Epstein's lawyer. So it's like he has lawyer privileges to being Epstein's friend, but he's also the one accepting the massages. And as you could hear in this voice clip here, his official deposition testimony is saying that he never took his underwear off during the massages.
Dershowitz is a longtime friend of Epstein's who represented him in the criminal underage sex case.
I never saw a young underage woman. I kept my underwear on during the massage.
Gun or rope?
So there you have it. But we got to get through this evidence here. There's a lot. So for one, let's look at Trump, because Trump is definitely hugely involved with Epstein. They've been friends for a long time. And in fact, in an early statement that Trump has made, has said that, like, Epstein is a good friend of mine. He likes the girls really young, as a lot of us do. And then all the Trump tards will be like, oh, Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because he was, like, talking to girls or something, or he was trying to get underage girls, so Trump kicked him out. But that is not true. For decades before that, Trump and Epstein were friends. They were great friends. And Trump even went and partied through the new leaked emails. You know that they were still kind of in contact after that. But apparently the real reason why they had a falling out, because they were fighting over a property. And then Trump was like, Epstein, he doesn't actually have money. I have money. I'm actually a real multi-billionaire. You know, they had some dick measuring contest. But Trump was actually glazing Epstein because he liked young girls. That's true. That's very true. In fact, this is an alleged birthday card that Trump made for Epstein. It says, voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything. Donald, yes there is, but I won't tell you what it is. And this is all in the shape of a woman. Jeffrey says, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Says Donald. Okay, come on. As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Okay, so they're laughing about age being an enigma. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Donald Trump, and then he signs the pussy to make it look like there might be pubic hair there. Yeah, that's kind of concerning, and I think Trump denies that this is real, but this came out in some kind of discovery. So it didn't come out of nowhere. It's not like someone just made this up. Now, I will say, I was like, didn't Trump and Epstein have some kind of email back and forth where Epstein was like, someone was asking Epstein, like, should I bring black chicks to the sex party? And then Epstein was like, no, Donald Trump will be there. He does not like boogers. Or black chicks, he calls them boogers. Like, he won't go within 10, 15 feet of them. And I thought, like, that's pretty funny. That might actually be true. And then when I went to go look it up for the stream, it's like, oh, that was a hoax. So now we're being inundated with a lot of things that might be a hoax. But I think that has a lot to do with the Epstein thesis. So let me show you what that means. I'm just going to read this out. I got an AI summary of what this thesis is. And it's basically, if I can explain it before I read this out in greater detail, it's that whenever there's a conspiracy theory that's true that's going on and that people are about to find out about, what the establishment, the elites do is they insert a lot of false information in order to confuse everybody and muddy the waters so that nobody could come to a reasonable explanation about what happened and about what they should do about it, right? Because if you don't know what happened, everything's going all over the place. You can't make a plan of action in order to do anything about it, right? So let's see what this summary of this thesis is. So this involves Alex Jones and Sandy Hook and how Alex Jones got sued for like $1 billion over his coverage of Sandy Hook. So this is relevant because it shows how the thesis is that the government is going to insert false narratives in order to throw everybody off track, in order to derail what people think about the situation and where they go with it, so that the people who are in charge, who are trying to cover this up, can take control of the situation. Okay, so let's read about the Epstein thesis. It says the recent legal ruling against conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, which mandates him to pay nearly $50 million in damages to the parents of a Sandy Hook shooting victim, has sparked widespread discussion about the broader implications of conspiracy theories in American society. Jones rose to prominence in the early 2000s by challenging the mainstream narrative surrounding events such as 9/11, gaining a significant following among those skeptical of government reports. While this inclination to question official narratives can be valuable, it has also led to a troubling trend wherein many conspiracy theorists, including Jones, have propagated harmful and baseless claims, notably regarding the Sandy Hook tragedy, which resulted in the deaths of 26 people, including 20 children. Okay. The discourse around Jones also touches on a larger strategy proposed by former Obama administration official Cass Sunstein, which he termed cognitive infiltration. This involved the government or its affiliates infiltrating conspiracy communities to disseminate disinformation and create confusion, thus discrediting genuine inquiries into conspiracies. Notably, it is suggested that the Sandy Hook incident represented a test case for the strategy, which aimed to manipulate public perception and undermine serious discussions about government narratives. Piper contended that the influx of absurd theories surrounding Sandy Hook served to delegitimize genuine truth-seeking efforts and made it easier for the establishment to dismiss all conspiracy theories as irrational. And if you've read the Epstein thesis, which I have personally, it has like a list of things that you should do when, as a government, when you're confronted with conspiracy theories, so-called, that challenge your narrative. And some of them would be like, 1, censor it all. But then it would write that, yeah, it's not a good idea to try to censor everything because it won't work. You can't censor everything. And then it'll give the Barbra Streisand effect where you try and hide something and it'll just make it that much more visible. So they rely on things like flooding the zone with misinformation. So when something like the Epstein files get released, they start putting out fake information everywhere in order to discredit for social media influencers to latch onto it and then propagate false information, and then it catches a lot of traction, and then after that they could go, hey, look, this was all fake. You got 10 million views, but it was just a completely fabricated thing, and they could use like a sock account to instigate something like that. And it sounds conspiratorial in itself, but it's actually very obvious that's happening constantly. And it's extremely effective, because when you think about these elites and they're trying to protect themselves from all the crimes that they've committed, including and up to pedophilia and maybe worse, then this is definitely a competent and potent strategy that they would effect. And to see, like, sometimes you don't even need these underhand strategies. You could just deny it, and then everything will go away. Apparently, in the case of Elon Musk, he claims that he has nothing to do with the Epstein files. He's never been implicated. Even if he contacted Epstein, he has nothing to do with it. So he's lying through his teeth. But then it shows in 2013 he visited Epstein in the Caribbean. This shows it in the emails. So everyone's just lying. The richest guy in the world is fucking lying about visiting Epstein after his pedophilia charges, after his child sex trafficking charges, or what it was like he got, like he had sex with a prostitute that was a minor. We all knew, and he was charged for underage prostitution, sex trafficking, whatever it was. I don't know the exact thing, but they knew it. They knew it. Elon Musk definitely knew it. He's saying Woody Allen will be with me. You might enjoy. Another fucking pedophile. Another confirmed Jewish pedophile, by the way. So Elon Musk lying about it. Richest man in the world lying about his connections with Epstein. And he's getting exposed on his own platform while still continually denying it. You gotta see what Elon Musk wrote about it. It's fucking hilarious. So Elon Musk Epstein files Twitter Yeah, this guy. No one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released. I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein, except for going to his island. And then to the point where in 2013, he's like, can I come to your island again? And then Epstein's like, no, we've shut it down. So, like, Elon Musk is like literally the last of the party. Also, his brother Kimball. His brother Kimball is repeatedly getting women that are involved with Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking. There's no evidence that they're minors, but Kimball Musk, I didn't even know this guy existed. He's like cowboy Elon. Yeah, he's getting chicks through fucking Epstein. No. So I declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express. No, you went to the island. We saw it in the emails. You confirmed it. And then you begged to go back, you fucking faggot. I don't care about that, but what I do care about is that we at least attempt to prosecute those who committed serious crimes with Epstein, especially regarding heinous exploitation of underage girls. Yeah, fucking bullshit. So that's Elon. There's no smoking gun for most of these people, to be honest. We have Bill Gates. This one's hilarious. So, Jeffrey Epstein, he drafted a blackmail email to himself that he was going to send to Bill Gates. Like, I assume so. That's why he drafted an email that was directed towards Bill Gates and kept it in his draft folder, and that's what we're seeing here. But basically, he's talking about how pissed off he is that Bill Gates is trying to distance himself from Epstein, assumedly because of his charges and his reputation. And then he reminds Bill Gates that, like, if I were you, I would do this, this, and that, including, other taking or giving a bunch of money from Epstein. I forget the exact circumstances. But the blackmail is essentially that Bill Gates got herpes from Russian hookers, especially ones that he met at bridge tournaments. A bridge, I guess, a game he likes playing. Epstein also got him hooked up with Adderall so he could do drugs at these bridge tournaments, as well as has sex with Russian hookers. And he got himself an STD from one of said Russian hookers. So then Bill Gates begged Jeffrey Epstein to get him drugs that he can secretly give Melinda, because he allegedly gave Melinda this herpes too as well. So it was his plan, and I think he enacted it, to secretly poison or give these drugs to his wife, who didn't know that she got herpes from his infidelity with Russian hookers. And this is the blackmail that Epstein is not so coyly putting forth to him, saying, if I were you, I would do this, this, and that. And weren't you the one who was coming to me crying about asking for drugs to give Melinda because you gave her herpes from the Russian hookers, the bridge tournament, plus the Adderall that I gave you? So that's Bill Gates, the former richest guy in the world. This is the kind of shit we're dealing with in these files. And Melinda, Bill Gates' ex-wife, dumped him, divorced him with cause for these kinds of things, and now we see more deeply why, and how he wasn't able to put up any of a fight, because this is what he was up to. Now we have this meditation sheet, Deepak Chopra. We've all heard of this name before. I don't know who the fuck Deepak Chopra is. Apparently he's worth like almost $1 billion. He's telling Epstein, God is a construct. Cute girls are real. So the weird, creepy Jeet that has $1 billion industry with yoga and meditation, he actually just likes fucking little girls. Okay, that makes sense. You gotta see this guy, Howard Lutnick. So we have Elon Musk, the top guy. We have Donald Trump, the other top guy. We have Deepak Chopra, the top Jeet. And then we have Howard Lutnick, this Jew who is like, he's a multi-billionaire. I don't know exactly what he does, Howard Lutnick, but he was also the neighbor of Epstein in Florida, I believe. But he has billions of dollars, and he claims himself that he met Epstein with his wife, and then as soon as he met him and his wife were like, this guy's a scumbag, we're never coming back here again. And they walked out of his house. But turns out, through these Epstein files, that was all lies. This guy who's coming out 4 or 5 months ago, he came out saying Epstein is a scumbag. Me and my wife, we were his neighbors. We came into his house the first day. We realized what a scumbag he was. We walked out, and we never talked to him again. And yeah, I believe that he's blackmailing everybody. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. And then, with these new Epstein files that came out 4 or 5 months later, it says basically him and his wife are in the email files being like, yeah, we'll come visit you again, buddy, on your island. Hell yeah. You know? So this is,
I assume, way back when.
how fucking shitty of a liar this fucking guy is. It's insane.
In 2008.
I assume, way back when, they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence.
Lutnick describing Epstein as gross.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he like gets like weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
His allegations in stark contrast to what FBI Director Kash Patel testified to last month.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to?
And this is insane too. Like Kash Patel saying that Epstein trafficked women to no one. This is just incompetence, lies, treason on all fronts.
Besides himself.
Himself, there is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
This as Republican.
So Kash Patel and this Howard Lutnick guy are supposed to be on opposite sides, but they're all just lying about everything.
Leaders on Capitol Hill grapple with a push to have all the Department of Justice's Epstein files released. President Trump, who was friends with Epstein in the 1990s but later had a falling out, has called the effort to release the files a hoax created by his political rivals.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats and some stupid Republicans.
Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Absolutely fucking pathetic. And here's another guy that had a huge falling out, and he got fired by CBS, where he just recently got hired. Peter Attia. So we'll see later in the show how Epstein, he's involved with a lot of like bioscience, right? And this guy is like a life hacker. He's into the science and art of longevity. As you can see here, Peter Attia, Canadian-American author and former researcher known for his work in longevity medicine. But if you look at the bottom here, it says, in 2025, the disclosure of Epstein's appointment calendars revealed several meetings with Attia up to 2019. When the Epstein files were released, emails between Attia and Epstein attested to their long-standing friendship. In one of them, Epstein wrote to Attia with the subject header, "Got a fresh shipment." And this was involved with redacted pictures, by the way. Attia told Epstein that the biggest problem of being friends with him was that the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul. In a separate email dated February 2016, he told Epstein that pussy is indeed low carb. And there was many more things like that. But one of the funniest and most disturbing things I've seen is there was this one YouTuber who showed that this guy Peter Attia, because he actually read Peter Attia's book that he wrote, his biography book about his life story to become the best at understanding longevity of life, whatever this Peter Attia guy's thing is. This guy admits that one of his lower moments was in July 13th, 2017, or something close to that, that he was out working hard in a different state, and his son, his infant child, was dying and ended up dying in the care of his wife. Had some sickness and ended up dying. And he stayed at work that whole time. He stayed at work the 10 days or so that it happened. And he ultimately regrets it. He chose work over his child's health and visiting the infant child. But when you look at the Epstein files, and he literally, in his book, writes July 13th, 2017 was the day this happened. You go look at the Epstein files, it's like July 14th, 2017 to Epstein, like, yep, I'm coming onto the island, we're going to have a great time. So this guy is letting his child die in the hands of his mother, telling her it's a work trip while he's going to Epstein Island. This fucking piece of shit. So, in the aftermath of Atia's connection with Epstein becoming public, CBS News announced they were cutting ties with Atia. And you know who got him hired to CBS News in the first place? It says it right here above. In January 26, Atia, along with various other health influencers, so he just got hired too. This is hilarious. So in January, Atia, along with other health influencers, was announced as a new contributor to CBS News under the leadership of Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss, whose wife is a friend, whose lesbian wife, or ex-wife, I don't know exactly which one, but one or the other, was a friend of Epstein's. Barry Weiss being one of the worst neocon Jews that is just unashamedly, unabashedly Zionist, ignorant Zionist fat cow. Barry Weiss. Go look her up and listen to anything she says. It'll be complete trash. And somehow she has worked her way up into being a person that can get other people hired at CBS News. Crazy. So in a bit here, I want to get into some of the more credible pedophile evidence, some of the less credible pedophile evidence, and then get into how a bunch of influencers reacted to it, and about the racism that these Jews have for others. Some of it is actually very based because, they know things that we know that they don't want the rest of the world knowing because they like controlling them. So it's very interesting. I think we're going to play a song here quick because I need a break before we get into all this. And then we'll crush it out the park. All right, we'll be right back. right, we're back. That air horn was just the wake-up call in case you guys didn't know that we're back. My chat on Rumble was doubling, so I saw double super chats, but then I realized that they were all the same chat. They were just repeating chats as I scrolled down. So it like copied all the chats as I was scrolling down. I thought I got double super chats. But no, I just got one super chat from Dr. Genstein, and he says, throw us a Roman and say rich Jews are the true victim. No. Us goys are the true victims. Us goys are the true victims. Hold on. Us goys are the true Us goys are the true victims.
Jew.
That's what I'll do for you, okay? Thank you for the super chat. And Lexer says, ignore Dr. Jen/Epstein's super chats. But he only gave $1, so I don't know what to do with that. Dr. Genstein says, Edgy's a bad influence. I guess. But we have a lot more to get into here tonight. Fuck. This is going to be like 3 or 4 hours, I think. So let's get into the credible pizza-related evidence. I think Alex Jones kind of summarized it pretty good. Pizzagate is all over the Epstein files. In the confirmed as authentic emails below, Jeffrey Epstein talks about large numbers of adults sharing a piece of pizza and torturing it. And just for some reference before this, in the original WikiLeaks emails, there was talk from like Sandy Rosenberg, who's like a multi-millionaire or billionaire philanthropist, being like I said before, you left the pizza-related napkin at her house. Do you want us to send for it? Or like, we have 500 hot dog, like $7,000 worth of $70,000 worth of hot dogs coming. How much walnut sauce, do you want? Like crazy shit like that. So there was actually worse code words used in the WikiLeaks. This is still corroborating things as well. Although there were a few pizza-related terms in these things where it's just like, okay, these guys are actually talking about going to get pizza. I'll tell you another thing, is that there's like a pizza tracker thing. So it's like a Washington, D.C. pizza tracker Twitter account where whenever there's a high volume of traffic or like pizza deliveries from pizza places around Washington, it has like a spike in activity, and it alerts people about that. And I think that's because there are a lot of pizza parties that are legit. They're eating pizza and they're ordering mass amounts of good pizza in DC, right? Like, people, when they get together, they like to eat pizza. Let's be honest. But I think that honestly, some of the darker of the elites, they mix pizza together, like actual pizza parties, with these FBI pizza terms, which means pedophilia. And I think that these two, like, they're actually eating pizza, and they're sometimes they're actually fucking kids. And I think these sometimes are in these weird emails here, but only some of the times. So it's hard to really explain, but it's there. Right. There's something here about torture videos. Sorry, I have no stomach for even the slightest aggro. I don't have the stomach for it. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Something about videos. I watch them all. Please don't send any more. This is better than a Chinese cookie. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand. That's to Epstein. And then You mean radiating a soft glow with a look of bliss and excitement? Yeah, that's the pizza. That's responding to something like she looks pregnant, and we can't see what that means or what the picture was. Who is all in the Austin office today? Who's going to want pizza? We only have one slice, and we need to know how thinly to slice it. So there we go. And then you see all this stuff from Pizzagate. They have weird child sex dungeon art. This was all part of Pizzagate in 2016, and I've done deep dives before into like the bands that were playing at Comet Ping Pong Pizza. James Alefantis, the owner of Comet Ping Pong Pizza, who's also the husband to like huge donors of the Democrat Party. He was named one of the most influential people in Washington, D.C. However, I will say that the Podestas, who are definitely pedophiles, because especially they're procuring this kind of art that are involved with James Alefantis, who's obviously a pedophile, obviously involved in child sex trafficking and all this stuff. But none of these people are in the Epstein files. So I think the Epstein files are a bit different than the sickos that are involved with the actual Pizzagate stuff. It's still fucked up, still extremely bad, but I think the Democrats are actually fucking, some of them, a small minority of them, are murdering and raping children. So another more credible piece of evidence, because it's from the emails themselves. Epstein in a 2009 email correspondence. I loved the torture video. Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video. That's from Epstein himself. Make what you will of that. So this is a chain email throughout police services that it seems like they're taking this very seriously. They're alleging that Prince Andrew was an accessory in connection with the death of a tortured sex slave. So back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl for a modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a sex slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her and led her to her murder. They're looking for a passport to identify her, So that seems more legitimate than most evidence. And Ghislaine Maxwell, if you've heard other victim testimonies, and we haven't heard a lot of the victim testimonies at all because they've been heavily redacted or paid off with like literally billions of dollars. But like from what you have heard of what goes on with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, is she's even more brutal than him. In fact, he's like the nice guy compared to her. And these are the pictures that came out of Prince Andrew, who's not a prince anymore. Like, if you go look up Prince Andrew for Wikipedia, it's like Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, because he's been stripped of formerly Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Yeah, because they disowned him, because they know he's up to some sick shit. So these are some pictures that are redacted. We have no idea what that actually means. It looks really messed up. Yeah, it's not looking good for you, Prince Andrew. We have the Woody Allen pedo conversation. This is between, I think this is with Stephen Bannon. Bannon, the ultimate conservative influencer. Steve Bannon is pulling the strings behind a lot of the right wing. We'll get into him in a bit, but like they're making jokes together. It's all redacted here, but this is Steve Bannon, and he's saying, let's go hang out with Woody Allen, or is that too many pedophiles for the pedophile convention? Pedophiles is plural. They might be joking around, but it's true. Woody Allen is known for like leaving his wife or something like that. He adopted an Asian daughter and then started sleeping with her and then ended up marrying her as she became of age. So sick, like weird borderline incest child rape, basically, and grooming with this Woody Allen. Woody Allen is not a respected figure because of all this stuff. I don't know if he's ever been charged with anything like this, but Woody Allen is like, he's known as a fucking pedophile. But Epstein obviously is no problem. They're both Jewish and they're both pedos, so why would they fucking care? You have all the rappers are involved in the Epstein files. Jay-Z, top Freemason. You know, he's into some shit. His buddy Pusha T is some shitty rapper. He's drugging Epstein victims, helping them get raped. Now, that is no surprise. Could you really imagine that black gangsters are involved with that too? That they're raping white women? Yeah, that is one of the most believable allegations I've seen here. Now, here's some of the less credible ones. Because, like I said, they give a lot of stuff that is true, and then they insert a lot of stuff that is likely false in order to throw people off. But also, there's just a lot of people who are going to give false testimony for one reason or another. They want to cash in their Me Too chips or something after they hear that they could get a lot of money for claiming that they were sexually abused. Or maybe there could be a number of reasons why they would say it. Maybe the FBI or the government or Epstein's people are like, let's all start accusing Epstein and all these elites of sexual assault like they're doing it themselves. Like multiple independent parties who are invested in protecting their reputations could start just making false accusations in order to muddy the waters, in order to so that if there is actually something legitimate, some legitimate accusations, that they all get buried under the weight of all the other crap, all the other false and provably false or unprovable in any way claims that will just lead to red herrings and lead to not being able to find any answers. All these different accusations that muddy the waters, right? But it's hard to tell what is what, and that's exactly the point here. So in this post here, just to contextualize it, it says a newly released Epstein-related document includes graphic allegations concerning George Bush Sr. The filing describes the abuse of a male minor by Bush and claims ritualistic acts, including the dismemberment of infants, the removal of their intestines, and the consumption of feces. So it's like, oh, they're eating shit, they're cutting off the feet of the children with scimitars, they're doing all the shit, and then, like, you see, this is from, like, the New York police or the FBI or whatever it is saying, thanks, redacted, I didn't realize Bush raped him too, okay. So they're not even taking this seriously. But you could imagine that a lot of the influencers are online, and they're like, this is sick shit, I can't believe it, they're doing it, like, look, are we surprised at this? Yo, what the hell, George Bush? What the fuck did I just read, you know? The Epstein files are getting so dark. Bro, this is insane, almost seems fake, Jesus. Not gonna lie, we owe the conspiracy theorists an apology. Like, to me, this doesn't read as credible. This reads as insane. They're eating feces? Why would anyone eat shit like that? Why would anyone want to eat shit out of, like, small children's intestines? You're just getting, like, do people really believe these things happen? So this is a comment that is probably has some reason behind it. I do not believe babies were sacrificed on a yacht in front of witnesses. I think this is just a crazy story from a mentally ill person, or this is a hoax. They probably got owned here by but it is true that there's probably some shit going on at some point, but I don't think this is true. It's just like a weird fucked up story, and then they're like, and then George Bush Sr. came in and got the final rape in. And it's like, what the fuck? It makes you want to rage quit. It makes you be like, okay, I've had enough internet for the day. This one. Okay, yeah, here's some other evidence that I think it is somewhat legitimate.
The FBI just dropped...
Sorry, I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, CoffeeZilla. He's a Canadian content creator, and he does good videos exposing scammers, especially. He has good charisma, he's funny, he has good information, and he has a good normie perspective on Epstein. So he's not going to be talking about how they're Jewish supremacists, how they have a Mossad network, but he does good deep dives into like some of the evidence that is going on.
The incentive to discredit anything with Donald Trump in it, just because he's in the White House right now, obviously. And so I want to be clear, there are notes related to some of these submissions where they say things like complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate redacted. You know, it's hard to tell how much this is the proper due diligence of the FBI, which they should be doing, of course, and not all complaints are credible. But also there's this obvious conflict of interest with the fact that the sitting president is in some of these complaints. But here they are for what it's worth. Complaint summary. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend also said she was abused by Epstein. Later.
So that could go either way. Like, I think that could have happened.
There's very explosive claims about big parties with her, other younger girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump.
And then within that one, you have other names like Alan Orenthal, possibly identifiable as Alexander brothers. So it seems like some Jews that were at this party, and like you have younger people who are younger guys, maybe in their early 20s, who are trying to procure these younger girls and groom them to make it seem like it's fine, just like kind of like the grooming gangs in Britain for these underage girls. Like these packies, they get younger packies to go and scout them out at schools, and then they slowly bring them in to the point that ultimately they're on drugs and they're trafficking them. So this seems plausible.
With her, other younger girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. There's claims third hand about a female victim of Epstein's who wants to publish a book citing Leslie Wexner, Epstein, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump. Ghislaine Maxwell is in the videos as well. And it goes...
So whoever made that complaint knows of a lot of the names. So I would say that if there's a complainant and they know information and people, and they could accurately state things that could have plausibly happened with who those people are, and reveal information that would be pertinent to an investigation and that would check out from multiple angles, yes, then that is good testimony. Eating feces out of dismembered children's intestines is not necessarily good evidence unless there's multiple people corroborating that same scene.
On like this for a while. Some of the complaints are just like very graphic, and obviously I'm going to censor out some of it. But I should also mention the DOJ claims that some of these claims were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had any shred of credibility, they would have certainly been weaponized against President Trump already. Now, I agree that if a complaint is timed right before an election, there definitely could be some other motivations to that. But it's also ridiculous to say that anything in the Epstein files, if it were true, would have come out already, because
yeah, that's true. Not everything has come out yet, and I think there's going to be a hell of a lot more. There's 3 million more pages that have yet to be released in the next thing, and they're trying to soften the blow of all these releases of how deep this fucking scandal goes. Because they already did that for the last year or two with this fake first Epstein release in different phases. They're trying to soften the blow. And now there are people who are suggesting that there are influencers that are supposedly our guys, like Nick Fuentes, who understands the Jewish question, who understands white identity and promotes pro-white and anti-Jewish supremacy talking points. But that he is, in turn, he's taken a deal from the Jews, from the devil. He's taken the Jew gold, and now he is trying to soften the blow of the Epstein files actually being released with pertinent information now. And one of the reasons for that is because he is selling the Epstein half-zip, as you could see in the thumbnail photo that we have for the stream right here. So Nick Fuentes said he says it's ironic, it's a joke, but also he's trying to make a political point, I think, that Epstein was actually kind of cool, but he's actually a piece of shit as well. But I'm trying to make a point that you stupid goyim need to wake up, because they think of you as goyim, and you're not going to do anything because you're a bunch of unawake goyim, as the Jews might say. Goyim meaning non-Jew, meaning you're lesser than, you're not a chosen one. So there's a lot of weird things going on with this mentality here. On one point, I think that the concept of us being dumb goys and not standing up to the Jew is relevant. It is a good point. And it's like, somebody sent me a meme. What was it? Cornelia? Let me find it. It was from a fascist in Romania. Each country gets the Jews it serves. Yes, I have it here. I have this anti-Semitic fascist quotes. I have it. Let me just find the actual quote. Hold on. I have it somewhere. There it is.
Why didn't we see the stuff about Bill?
There you go. A country has the Jews it deserves. Just as mosquitoes can thrive and settle only in swamps, likewise, the former can only thrive in the swamps of our sins. This is by Cornelia Zilia Cudrano. Who is he again? Oh, I gotta translate that to English because I can't understand that. He was a Romanian far-right politician, fascist, anti-communist, and anti-Semitic founder and leader of the alt-right organization Legionnaire Movement. He died in 1938 and was born in 1899. But you get my point there. It's like, we are the goyim that we allow ourselves to be, I think is the point of it. But that is a charitable interpretation, right? Because somebody like our friend Devin Stack of Blackpilled, his take is, as I was saying, turn Epstein into a joke and sell Epstein dress-up kits because Epstein has aura, and you soften the fallout when more bad shit comes out, thus earning your new Jew Gold contract. So, that is... Nick Fuentes did get a new sponsor that was Mark Levin's former sponsor for gold that is Jew Gold. It's a sponsor of Jews. And Mark Levin is like one of the top neocon Zionist Jews that hates Nick Fuentes, but Nick revels in the fact that he took the sponsor from Mark Levin that is no longer with him and is now with Nick, so he revels in that, like it's a defeat. But, you know, now he's allegedly, according to Devin, softening the blow of the Epstein thing by selling the Epstein hoodie and saying that, hey, Epstein wasn't that bad. He was into 14 to 17-year-old girls and maybe a bit older sometimes, but that's who he was trafficking. He wasn't fucking like prepubescent girls. There's a difference between pedophilia and hebephilia. Now, all of that is correct, but splitting hairs over that, when it comes to degeneracy and defiling youth, especially in this context where he's running a network of this vast proportions, is very suspect. But let's hear him out, because, you know, people talk a lot of shit about Nick and they don't actually listen to his podcast. They don't actually listen to what he has to say. And let's hear what he has to say. This is actually good content. I've listened to some of his stuff leading into this, and a lot of it I don't agree with. But I guess here he's trying to make the point that a lot of people are getting shit wrong, and there's a lot of misinformation going on. And, funny enough, it is like the Sustein thesis that I just put before, where they're flooding the information with lots of fake stuff. And there's a lot of influencers who are just... there's just some random person who creates like a fake meme or a fake picture, or these influencers are doing it themselves to get massive amounts of clicks and engagement and views. But either way, the zone is getting flooded with fake information, and it's detracting from the facts of the situation. But I think that Nick here is using that as a way to say that, hey, it actually isn't so bad. Because people, at the same time, are not going to... They're going to see that Nick Fuentes on social media is saying that, hey, Jeffrey Epstein actually isn't so bad. He might actually have some aura. Buy my Jeffrey Epstein half-zip sweater that's a mock-up of his sweater. But then he'll be like, you guys don't even watch my show. You don't even see that what I'm doing is humor and irony, or I'm making a point. But meanwhile, it's like, okay, well, the message that you're putting out to the greater public, except for your, like, 10,000 or so groypers that are watching your show religiously, this is what you're actually putting out to the public, though. But he does make some good points about what is going on with all these pictures and all the social media clout that is kind of muddying the waters of what is actually fact and fiction in this Epstein situation.
And Dawson posts a picture of me wearing the Epstein quarter zip, Epstein wearing the quarter zip, and then he posts these photos, forgive me, they're graphic, of this little girl with Epstein and the same little girl tied up. And you might look at that and say, wow, that is really fucked up. 1.2 million views, 36,000 likes. Okay, just one problem. This image is fake. Did you know that? This image on the bottom right is an AI edited image. That's a fake photo. How do we know that? Because that is an image. I'll show you this one. This is the original image on the left. And again, I apologize, it's graphic. I don't want to be showing you this. This is a boy named Johnny Ghosh. He was kidnapped in the 90s. And there's a documentary about it on Netflix. It's called Finding Johnny or Where's Johnny, something like that. And it's a long story, but this little boy was kidnapped in the 80s. They were looking for him for 10 years. Somebody sent this photo to the victim's mother. Nobody knows to this day if that's the missing child or if it's somebody else. This is a 30-year-old photo. This is a different photo. This photo has existed on the internet for 10 years. It's the same photo. It's in a Netflix documentary. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. It's on blogs going back 10 years. The original goes back 25 years.
So honestly, that's a bit relieving that this isn't real. I don't know what the hell is going on the left there, but it's good that these pictures of children are not real. But I have to ask what the hell is going on that these pictures are getting out there. And it's very easy for anyone to inject something fake into this, and then it becomes canon. It becomes like, oh, this is a real part of this investigation. This is like I got tricked by the Donald Trump calling like Epstein was having a party and then somebody wanted to bring black chicks and then Epstein was like, no, Trump is going to be there. He calls black chicks boogers. He won't go within 10 feet of them. I thought that was real. Apparently that wasn't real. And I had to go look at the article that I had read that said that. And I was like, okay, so this article that was published on many websites got this wrong because they looked at a fake thing. Everyone is getting baited by the fake shit. And on one hand, it's like, it's directionally correct to say that these Jewish pedo blackmailers are ruining our countries. Yes, that's correct. But at the same time, if you start injecting all this stuff that is blatantly false into it, eventually that is going to add up and it's going to be easily discredited from people who are much more powerful than you and have billions of dollars to spend and set you up in that trap in the first place. So it is a lesson in media literacy to make sure that you're not falling into these traps.
It's an old photo. This is fake.
But at the same time, the legions of people that think that these things are real could mobilize them to get pitchforks sooner than if they were like all nuanced, like, oh, well, let me see more of the evidence, versus the Chad, they're raping children and ripping their intestines out and eating their Hillary Clinton was eating their faces, let's get the pitchforks, and they come after them. Right? So I could see the point that it could be good in either way, but no, I guess we're trying to figure this out as we go.
So he saw this, oh, here he is with her. Now there's this picture, and it even looks fake. The hair doesn't look real. None of it looks real. That's because this is the original, and you could see wooden slats here. I mean, it's identical. The way the arm is shaped. This is the original. This is edited. And this photo's been passed around for 20 years. Totally fake. But no one's going to know. 1.2 million views, 36,000 likes. It's not cool or funny. Look at this. That's another one. How about this? Your third example, another one. This one has 1 million views, 1.2 million views, 32,000 likes. Just in, Epstein tied young girls aged 11 to 13 spread out on the floor, burned them with a magnifying glass. That sounds weird.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. So this is a thing. I listened to Fuentes the other night, and I think there's a lot of subversion going on where he tries to make the Epstein thing sound like it's another Holocaust. Because a lot of these claim, I think the new Sustein, what do you call it? The new Sustein program where they're injecting all this fake shit into what is actually going on is basically like what they did with the Holocaust, where it's just like, okay, yeah, there were definitely Jews that were persecuted in the Holocaust, but now we're going to say that they turned them into lampshades and bars of soap, and we put them in a pit with a bear and an eagle, or we masturbated them to death. The Germans, Nazis, masturbated them to death with masturbation machines, right? I think that the architects, the financiers that are behind all this Epstein stuff, they're injecting this kind of stuff into the Epstein situation. It's kind of like history echoes into the future, except for they're doing it in the opposite way. Well, where now they're trying to trick the Goyim into taking the bait and then discrediting them.
To 13-year-olds to the grass and then used a magnifying glass to amplify the sun to burn them. This is one of the complaints, and I'll read it to you if you can't read it yourself. This is a tip to the FBI. It says, residential number called the FBI National Threat Operation to report a viral video of what appears to be Jeffrey Epstein torturing a young woman with a magnifying glass. Martin provided the following information. Martin sent a piece of a video of what appeared to be a young white female aged 11 to 13 with dark-colored hair tied down and naked. The victim is tied to the ground and spread eagle with a man who appears to be Jeff Epstein holding a magnifying glass and burning the victim. Martin described the video as being blurry. However, the male subject appeared to be a very large man with gray hair wearing jeans, a short-sleeved black shirt, and white tennis shoes. Martin stated Facebook would not take the video down. In the frame of the video, it says Epstein. However, the video is blurry. Here's another one. An open source query of Epstein and magnifying glass video resolved to a tweet from December 9th, 2019 of a picture of what appears to be an adult woman naked, tied down and gagged, lying on the grass. The woman has multiple magnifying glasses on her body. The male subject in the video is wearing jeans, t-shirt, tennis shoes. You get the idea. Well, here's a proposed community note. I'll read this one to you. It says, the depicted scene is from a BDSM pornography video titled Drea Morgan Stakeout Under Glass, featuring adult performer Drea Morgan, not from Jeff Epstein's files or involving minors. Now, I'm not going to show you a pornography video tonight, but if you Google Drea Morgan Stakeout Under Glass, you will see a porn video. I searched it myself. You will see a porn video of a porn star. It's like a BDSM video.
You loved it, Dick, didn't you?
Of a girl naked in the grass, tied up, and a man is like burning her with a magnifying glass.
Yes. So Nick is definitely into this shit. He's giddy about it. He's like, "Oh, it wasn't real. It was just another average BDSM porno." So, he's making a good point here. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of weird shit online that people are just repurposing and saying that this is Epstein and it's getting millions of views and it's distracting from the real situation. And I don't know. So there's a video with some guy using a magnifying glass to burn a naked chick on the ground. This sounds like something fucking motherfucking Dr. Genstein would do. Who, by the way, gave a super chat yelling, "Edgy is tight and gentle." That is fucked. I'm pretty sure I know who created this BDSM video with magnifying glass torturing people by trying to burn them while they're naked. That is definitely Dr. Genstein here. He said, when the Russian blame game fails, let's blame Second Sons Canada. No, that's also a good point with that super chat there, is that I want to say this, is that the mainstream media has been silent about all of this. So I looked at a mainstream media news feed on my phone, and I was like, oh, I wonder what kind of Epstein stuff I'm gonna see, because Epstein is obviously, it's broken the mainstream. It's the talk of the town. You got Bill Gates, you got Richard Branson, you got Howard Lutnick, you got all these different people, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they're all caught lying through their teeth about Epstein. No, literally, like, every, like, 8th story is just like, Bill Gates is mad that he was listed on the Epstein thing and is, like, proven that he's not, or something like that. And then it's just a bunch of other crap. And it's like, sometimes the Epstein stuff, when it's insubstantial, is used to, like, distract and say that Trump is this and that. But this time it's like, no, the mainstream media won't say shit. And when it does say shit, it's like New York Post saying, we found who Epstein's real connections are. And then it'll say, like, he has Russian connections, when we all know what the Russian connections are. It's all Jews. It's all Jews in Russia. In fact, the real Russia collusion scandal with Donald Trump, and the reason why they can never get him with it, is because it was actually the Russian mafia, Jews in Russia, that Trump was associated with. And he was corrupt. But so is the Democrat Party. So who are they to say anything about it? They're all in bed with the fucking Jews. So it's like they can't say shit about it. They can't do anything about it, and now the mainstream media is silent about it. But us Goyim on Twitter, at least us smart Goyim, are doing something about it. But the rest of the masses of Goyim are chewing their cud like a bunch of cows, mooing about the next sports ball game that's coming out. You know. Meanwhile, Dr. Jenstein in the fucking Epstein files is burning underage chicks with a magnifying glass, up to some sick shit, and trying to frame me for it. What are you... Yeah. Ignore Dr. Jen/Epstein. That was a good super chat. But no, I appreciate all the super chats. I'm trying to make something funny out of some weird sick shit here. But I don't know. Burning a naked chick on the grass with a magnifying glass is kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. Provided she consented and she's of age. Okay? But yeah, one criticism of Nick is saying that he's trying to soften the blow, and that he is friendly with Stephen Bannon, who we're going to learn a bit more about soon. Stephen Bannon, he was the head of Breitbart after Andrew Breitbart died. He was an advisor for Trump, and after that, he went to jail for all sorts of weird financial crimes. He's been a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein, including one of his main PR managers, and the architect behind the 2-hour Jeffrey Epstein interview that has recently been released within this newest set of Epstein files, where it's like a nothing burger of Epstein being like, oh, I'm just like your average guy. I'm just a smart guy that, actually did work to get where I'm at in life, and, I have all these ideas. And that's part of, if you actually look into the Epstein files and the emails, Stephen Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein purposely trying to do PR and to manage his public relations to make him look like he's not a monster. And Nick Fuentes and Steve Bannon, after being butting heads and being at odds with each other for a long time, are now saying good things about each other. And I've heard also theories that Nick Fuentes is now he used to be against American imperialism and was angry especially at the American establishment and was supporting China instead of America because the American government was cracking down on him. They were demanding he be censored on social media platforms. They froze his bank account. They put him on a no-fly list. So he's like, China would never treat me like this. China is way better, you know? He even had debates where he was promoting China over the American regime and saying, at least, you know, if we empower them a bit more, it'll make America crumble. But now, in the last, like, year or two, he has been promoted much more by, like, the New York Times as the new bad boy, as, like, the new Richard Spencer, but better, right? He's, like, on the front page of the New York Times. They're taking pictures of him that make him look like, you know, he's evil, but he's kind of cool, kind of stuff. And now he's supporting regime change in Venezuela. He's now... It seems like he's softening the blow in at least an ironic way against Epstein to the greater public. Meanwhile, on his show, he's just like, I'm just looking at the facts, you know. I'm going to focus more so on, you know, on all the things that people got wrong online to show how we need to be smarter about these things. But what about the fact that there's 3 million pages that we haven't seen yet, and even if you don't have smoking guns to indict all these people in courts, you know what's going on. And to take the approach that the people who are running with all the fake information are ruining everything, instead of just taking the information that is there and taking it to the logical conclusion that these people need to be removed from power at all, by all means, then, you know, I question what your motives are. And then another theory I heard about Nick, and it makes sense to me, is that he is a self-interested person who, in the past, he's gone to meetings with all these shareholders, these stakeholders, all these funders, and he was rejected many times. He's involved himself with senators like, who was it? The one senator in Arizona, I believe, that came to some of the first America First political action conferences. There was Steve King. There was, there was a senator from Arizona, I believe, or another state that used to be allied with Nick, but then ditched him. So Nick will meet people halfway to get that power and to get those donations, to get those donors. And once he gets cut out, he gets really vicious and angry about it. And that is shown, as we're about to see, when he gets into interpersonal conflicts with other influencers who are in the same sphere, who start doubting what he has to say about Epstein or about his newest controversial take or whatever else. He gets very mad about it and very defensive. And it's like he's bringing all his Groyper army, all the people that he has convinced to agree with whatever he says, and he brings them to the table and he says, look, you're going to give me money, or you're going to allow me into this conversation, or we're going to have a problem. And then once they allow him into the conversation, because they're like, okay, no more, Mr. Fuentes. We see that you have the clout, and you're going to cause us problems if we don't let you in. And then they let him in. Now, all of a sudden, there's concessions being made on both sides, including Fuentes. So that is what is suspected of going on here. Like, he brought his chips to the table, and they're like, okay, we'll allow you into the conversation. Elon Musk says, hey, you're allowed. I'm going to personally demand that you be allowed back on Twitter, even though I don't like you, and I think you're a Fed, and I don't like what you're saying, but you deserve to be back on Twitter. Meanwhile, Twitter secretly bans all all the most prominent national organizations that are actually organizing white nationalists. Whether I think Second Sons in Canada is one of the only ones that hasn't been banned yet. But in America, Patriot Front, total hard ban. Thomas Russo, definitely not allowed. And the person who were to be a spokesman for Patriot Front would be immediately banned. Patriotic Alternative, Mark Collette, Sam Melia, who literally went to jail for putting up stickers that had no violence on them or anything, or even hate speech, so-called. Laura Melia, his wife, not allowed on Twitter. The National Justice Party guys, the Right Stuff guys, who were in the Epstein files that Epstein was sending their stuff to literally Noam Chomsky, that we'll see in a bit. They're not allowed on Twitter. All the Australia guys have been systematically banned off Twitter. So, but the Groypers are allowed on. Nick Fuentes specifically. And it begs the question, was there concessions made on both sides to allow this to happen? Because they can't stop the truth from getting out at the end of the day. The truth is too prevalent. It's too pervasive. What they can do is they can let somebody who they think that they can control a bit more, that they could tweak in certain ways, or that they could maybe blackmail, or maybe have some kind of control over that person's personality. So I think that there's a good chance that something like that is going on. And meanwhile, if we want to get into the E-drama, this is fucking hilarious. So Jake Shields, former UFC fighter and full-time anti-Semite now. Full-time grug anti-Semite. Jake Shields goes off on Nick Fuentes for wearing Epstein merch. That's the worst take Nick's ever had. He should apologize. Should be humiliated and embarrassed. Epstein tortured and killed kids. I like Nick, but that's shameful. Hitler had aura. Epstein didn't.
You know, obviously we're both friends with Nick, and I think the Epstein stuff is funny, but I think overall, not even at him, we got to be careful because like people are saying Epstein has aura. You're mad you weren't invited to this island. It's like, no, man, I'm not going to cover
That's the worst take Nick's ever made. You know, I like Nick, but that's an absolutely disgusting take. That him with that sweater is pathetic, bro. It's just so shameful. Like he should apologize. He's pull it offline. He should be humiliated and embarrassed. You know, he's sitting there saying, "Oh, you're a third worldist on Upslope. Bitch, you're wearing a fucking Epstein sweater who fucking tortured and killed kids." And I even like Nick, bro, but that's just a shameful moment. He fucked up.
I love Nick, and I understand the humor around it and stuff like that. I'm not going to go criticize him.
Yeah, he's trying. You know, he's trying to be edgy, I guess. But it's like, come on, bro. You can't be edgy by wearing something that literally tortured and fucking killed kids.
Yeah.
Hitler's edgy. Hitler's cool. Hitler had aura. Fucking Epstein didn't. Hitler would have fucking thrown all these pedophile pieces of shit in camps.
I mean, obviously Epstein definitely was a charming guy. If he was getting like what you see,
that's true. No, he was.
I don't know. That's a based grug take. It's not the most politically informed, but it's like, yeah, directionally correct. So Nick has had enough of his island of misfit toys, as he says, because Nick Fuentes is more of a political influencer. He's an influencer. So he has so much clout that all these weird people get behind him. And Jake Shields is kind of a weird guy. He's like an MMA guy that has just started speaking out, and learned about the Jew, and he's not the brightest, but he has a lot of great guests on, and I think he's directionally correct. And I really like the guy, and I think he made some good points there. And Nick, we're not going to listen to this whole thing, but you'll get the point of it if you just listen to even a bit of it.
This guy, how many times are we going to have this public blow up? And every time he apologizes, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. Hey, man, I shouldn't have said that. Hey, I should have talked to you first. Hey, I didn't see this." You know, but people have this resentment towards me.
So it's all about him, you know. That's the narcissism of him. It's not about the movement. It's just like, I'm the top guy. You get behind me or you fuck off, and I crush you. That's not the kind of mentality that you need to have. It's like, is it the movement or is it you?
And I'm not saying that for any reason other than like, I thought we all understood that we could have this ironic detachment. Like, understanding this, we could have a mature...
Yeah. Anyways, he goes
I've been doing this fine. You try it your way, I'll try it mine. It's like, okay, man, I'm out. Before you come back on the timeline and tell me I should be embarrassed and I should apologize with that. It's fucking enough already. And here's what I'm pissed off. This guy, you know, every week this is happening. Talking shit on the timeline. I say, hey, bro, what's up? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that, blah, blah. Okay, man, it's all good. Again, oh, Nick is...
Anyways, he
He's selling a
calls
shirt that
him
resembles a
fucking
shirt that a bad
totally
guy wore.
retarded and absolutely roasts him. But they had makeup sex. We're good. Gotta save our firepower for the real enemy. But it was getting funny because Jake Shields is like, I made the call out that the top 10 trannies in the world can fight me all in a row, and they all declined. So now I want all the top 10 groypers to fight me all in a row. And I would have loved to see that. But apparently they've had gay makeup sex. It's really gay. And then Nick chalked this up to say, the Goyim are fighting again. The Goyim. So he's leaning into this, like the Jews think of us as Goyim, as we're about to see in the Epstein files. That's one of the biggest things, is that Jews have no respect for us. They think that they're better. We deserve to do all the work, while they get to speculate on our currencies and make all money off of our hard work while they sit and do nothing and fuck children. So Nick has taken up the ironic approach of calling all of us Goyim and then making memes and jokes about it. And I get where he's coming from, and it is pretty funny, but at the same time, it's like, didn't you take the Jew gold? Like, are you with Bannon? You say Bannon is good, but Bannon was helping perfect the PR image of Epstein. He's like one of Epstein's best friends. So who the fuck are you to say that? You're one of them. But in the conservative sphere, this kind of person who's flawed is not... It's not uncommon. Elijah Schaffer, a huge conservative commentator, just had a huge crash out. He's been hiding in like some fucking like South American country for a while. He's now been caught as cheating on his wife, having homosexual sex. He got blackmailed by Milo Yiannopoulos, who's like the gay Epstein of conservative right-wing Twitter, basically. Sarah Stock, this other e-girl influencer who is originally Canadian, she came up in this world of e-girl influencers, right-wing girl. She was cheating on her fiance with this Elijah Schaffer guy, and they're all entangled in like this weird sex and abortions, and yeah, I don't want to get into it. That's going to be too much of a detraction. But Nick Fuentes, in his last stream that I was listening to, he starts using that to be like, I know all these guys, and these people are all people who simp for Nick Fuentes. He's like, I see all this fighting and people shaming each other over all this stuff, and I just know that the Jews are laughing at the Goyim. They're laughing at the Goyim. We can't keep it together. And it's like, yeah, because the Jews are inserting their vices, including vices to you, but also to Elijah and Sarah Stock, and they're all cheating on each other. They're all trying to get clout. They're all trying to one-up each other. Their vices, yes, that's why the Jews are laughing at us. It's not because we're not in solidarity with each other against this degeneracy. Like, Nick's take on it was that we have to be easy on each other when we're being complete degenerates. That doesn't make any sense, because now all these people's lives are ruined. Elijah Schaffer created this platform called Rift TV, where he hired Sarah Stock, who's supposedly supposed to be married, and now an Orthodox Christian, where she literally changed her name. But now she's deleted her Twitter account and has been exposed for cheating on her fiance with Elijah, who just cheats on his wife constantly and likes to get pegged, apparently, according to Milo Yiannopoulos, and has a drug addiction problem, got his car stolen with a gun in it, all this crazy shit. But Nick is just like, the Jews are laughing at us, Goyim. We gotta stick together. It's like, you guys are all being fucking degenerate. How about you don't do that to begin with? It's like the quote that I just pulled up before. You get the Jews. Your country gets the Jews that you deserve. So how about that? That's how you deal with that. You don't do these things in the first place. I gotta read the chat. I gotta read what the Goyim have sent me with their shekels. Okay, this one isn't a Goyim. This is the top Jew. This is my handler. Dr. Jenstein says, just want to say hi to my sweet girl Lee. Okay, well, I don't know if she's watching or not. I'll make sure that I get that message across to her. I don't know. When's the next time you're going to invite us to Jenstein Island? Because that was great last time. There was lots of pizza, actual literal pizza we had at Jenstein Island. It wasn't little boys or anything. It was pizza and psychedelic drugs, and it was absolutely fucking epic. And maybe I could have that guy that likes to do that Nazi BDSM. Maybe I could have him, like, all wrapped up and tied up with an apple in his mouth on one of those nice large platters with, the metal dinner plate over top covering it. And then we could open it up and it would be a great party, Anyways. We've been going on for a while here tonight. This is nearing 3 hours. So let's get into the racism and then the epic Jewish racism and why some people are saying that, is Epstein based? So we're going to get into that and then we're going to wrap it up because we're nearing 3 hours. But there's a lot of stuff to cover here. Like, there's so many drops that are interesting in these Epstein files. So in a 2018 email, Epstein recounts laughing about Jews controlling the world. So this is a goy, a stupid goy like us. Probably a waspy goy because he wouldn't be entertaining just any normal goys. You'll see that the wasps, as they call them, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, the JP Morgan executives, wasps, he likes those because obviously they enact his agenda and they're like an extension of the Jewish agenda. So he likes them. But he says, quote, at my dinner table, I asked, why are you right-wing guys so anti-Semitic? And Epstein being kind of a right-wing guy besides the anti-Semitism because, he doesn't like any other race except for Jews and wasps, basically. One said, historically, we all know it's actually been the Jews behind the governments actually pulling the strings. Epstein says, like who? And one pointed at me, and they all started to roar with laughter. And he goes, guilty, guilty. And he thought it was hilarious. He loved it. Epstein, he at least had a sense of humor about himself. When the right goys were in the room that were not going to be a problem for him, he was willing to admit that him and his Jewish friends do have inordinate amounts of power in ruling the world. So in a 2017 email, an individual named Marsha Drakova told Epstein that he should only work with DNA-tested Jewish individuals, claiming that greater Jewish ancestry correlates with higher intelligence. So she goes on to say, you said you were 98% Jew. You're very smart. My boss is like 78% Jew. He's super smart, less smart than you. I have a close friend, business partner who's 99.3% Jew. He's crazily smart. We all take all Jewish people. Sourcing can be done through relatives. Ask them to, yeah. So she's acting like a total goy about this. Like Epstein is probably like, yeah, I'm Jew. And she's like, actually like 99.3. And then and he's like, oh my God, you're acting like such a goy right now. But I looked her up. I actually found her on Twitter. And then her comments, her latest tweets that were made before this dropped are just all fucking pounded by these kinds of comments. Interesting. Yeah. Was it also Jewish? You seem inspired by pedophiles like Epstein, you filth. Scrolling your timeline, you come off remarkably unimpressive. Your Jewish percentage must be low. Yeah, so they're all trolling her. It's some dumb model bitch. What's this? This one is pretty damning. In a 2019 email to Jewish American academic Roger Schenck, Epstein disparaged non-Jews and bragged about profiting from financial speculation, claiming success by short shipping futures while Goyim bore real economic risks. This is the way the Jew makes money and made a fortune in the past 10 years, selling short the shipping futures. Let the Goyim deal in the real world. So yeah, they're just speculating on currency, speculating on the shipping patterns of businesses in the future. Meanwhile, let all the stupid Goyim deal in the real world. This is how they talk about us. And it's like we need to start creating societies where we talk about the stupid Jew and all the other minorities that don't have our best, and the white traders that don't have our best interests in mind. Like, we are getting a one up. We don't need to be as shifty. We don't need to be pedophiles like these freaks, but we just got to take care of our own. And, we got to make, part of that means that we take care of our own over others, like Jews have done clearly over here. Except for we do it in our own way. That is less disgusting than these people and more honorable. So Larry Summers, this guy has had every position in the government and in Ivy League universities, like the president of Harvard and whatnot, for many years. Yes, are there any... so this is all after Epstein has been convicted as a pedophile. Yes, are there any tax breaks for the wealthy in the 2017 Tax Act? Epstein says, I don't know of any. They did a great job of closing most, at least for the Goyim. So it's just no more tax breaks except for us who, so there's no tax breaks except for Jews. So Jews can usurp, they can get around, circumvent the law with whatever way possible because they have the insider access. They are doing insider trading. They are committing fraud, treason. They are impoverishing the American and greater population for their own benefit at their expense. So that's what he's admitting right there. You could see a more playful thing about one of their parties here. Jeffrey and Epstein organized a party. The email subject was Yacht Slut. Epstein, Dubin, Dershowitz. This Dershowitz.
Dershowitz is a longtime friend of Epstein's who represented him in the criminal underage sex case.
I never saw a young underage woman. I kept my underwear on during the massage.
Gun or rope?
Yeah, so he kept his underwear on during the massage. That Dershowitz, who has been personally pointed out many, many times by victims saying that he raped them. So that Dershowitz. Yeah, they were all involved, invited to this party, But this person is asking, what about Jane Fonda, my new best friend? Nothing like an ex-Jew hater with a Jewish boyfriend to mix it up. So the headline of this post is wrong. Jeffrey Epstein organized a party for Jews only, stating clearly, no goyim allowed. I think that was kind of a joke. He in fact said, no, goyim in abundance. JP Morgan exec's brilliant wasp. So he's saying, yes, there's a lot of Jews, but there's lots of goyim, meaning the top people, only JP Morgan execs, so people who are enacting their Jewish agenda, right? That's what he means by goyim in abundance, because he would not want to entertain any other kind of goyim unless he was going to rape or abuse or, profit off of them in some way. Now you have Avi Yemeni of Rebel News trying to gatekeep the word goyim. It's been like Rebel News, their audience is against the mainstream. They're even further than the mainstream conservatives. So they're obviously going to look into this Epstein stuff, and they're going to see all this goy hate that's going on, all this hatred that Jews have for the goyim, all this disdain. So he's trying to get ahead of it. He's in Australia. He's actually Jewish, and he's one of the most obnoxious Jews in Australia. He says, "Dear goyim, know this, we love you, unless you hate us." Okay. Before jumping on the latest outrage trend, maybe learn what the word actually means. Goy means nation. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that when they're saying the goy are stupid, that's for the goys. No goyim allowed. Goys in abundance, they mean the nation. Okay, yeah. Eat shit. In the Torah, Jews are called a goy kadosh, a holy nation. It's not the slur they're telling you. And yes, Epstein was a piece of shit, and every friend and connection of this should be exposed. Yeah, okay, so Zoomer historian, stop digging, bro. If the word Greg, my buddy Greg, if the word goyim is so endearing, then why are you only using it for the first time? Like, the timing of the statement right after the Epstein file drop is wild, my goy. Whatever you say, Jew. Dan Bilzerian with the biggest ratio. We hate you. Dear Jew, fuck off to Israel. Yeah. Ramsey Paul, dear Jew, we also love you, unless you hate us. Coyishly hitting it back at him. And we have not been feeling the love lately. Yeah, like the rape of goy women by this insane pedophile Mossad blackmail cult. So that's but you got to hear what else the Jews are saying amongst each other, including Jeffrey Epstein to none other than the darling of the anti-war left liberals, Noam Chomsky. The one who was like the top intellectual against the Iraq war and other foreign policy matters. In 2016, Epstein emailed Noam Chomsky about the black-white test score and IQ gap, referencing material from Mike Enoch's The Right Stuff. So this is like top alt-right stuff 5-10 years ago. The guy still operates Mike Enoch, The Right Stuff. It's Epstein is sending Noam Chomsky race realism from the alt-right sources. This is hilarious. And then Epstein sends to Chomsky that Nobel Prize winner James Watson, this is what I've been talking about, the inventor of literal DNA, says that there's some uncomfortable facts about race and IQ. And Chomsky, he wasn't too receptive about it. But you know what Chomsky was receptive about? Like, he does admit that it's true, but he says, oh, it doesn't matter because reasons or whatever. So they both agree on it, but Chomsky is just more adamant that we need to lie about it for his own left-wing universalist views. But then Chomsky at the same time gives him all sorts of advice in other emails here for Epstein to have better PR about being a pedophile. So Chomsky is sympathetic to Jeffrey Epstein's, this is well after his pedophile convictions, he's giving him PR advice just like Bannon did. And now we could get into the Bannon stuff. So Steve Bannon, he's like one of the top architects of the controlled right wing. Epstein in a private email saying niggers are dumb, but in his public interview, he's saying blacks are just as smart as whites. But he says it in a way like, if I was in a jungle and I was like getting chased by a lion, blacks would be smarter than me. So in a coy, like, funny way, he's saying that, like, yeah, blacks have different kind of intelligence, like running away from lions or trying to hunt down their prey. And it's like, yeah, that's not what we're talking about. But that's all part of this retarded interview that they did. I'm not going to play it. I'll play maybe like one or two things from it. Let's see what I can find. I'll just type in Bannon, Epstein, and go to media. Yeah, here's one of the main.
Child's life. Do you think you're the devil himself? No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Do
you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody.
You're incredibly smart. So this is like a suck job from Bannon that they used in order to do positive PR for Epstein that didn't get released till now. But in this, Epstein is like, oh yeah, blacks, like he said all that stuff that I just said. But meanwhile, behind closed doors, he's just like, yeah, blacks are dumb. Oh, what are we going to do about it, right? Jews have the highest IQs and whatnot. They also laugh about Tommy Robinson, which is hilarious. Tommy Robinson, one of the top nationalists, so-called fake nationalists in Britain, because he's a complete puppet of the Jews, which is even more known here now through these new Epstein files. Let's just let Zoomer Historian preface it. So, well, just to start, Epstein shows a picture of Tommy Robinson. Steve Bannon says, backbone of England, like in a coy way. That's why the pound is so low, says Epstein, making fun of him, saying he's cheap. And Bannon says, cheap at any price. Meaning, yeah, they use Tommy Robinson to agitate against fucking Muslims in Britain and across the world. Not that Muslims should be in Britain. They shouldn't be. And so that's like a good service, but he's doing it on behalf of the Jews and to cover for the Jews and not get to the real problems. And Zoomer Historian says, Epstein literally talking about what a perfect cheap little Shabbos goy Tommy Robinson is. Amazing. Just the ultimate nationalist vindication. This Zog slave is their plaything and he knows it. Yep. And Bannon is Epstein's little Zog slave, little goy slave too. Except for Epstein at least respects Steve Bannon a bit more because he handles and manages people like Tommy Robinson. So he tells Bannon, you're an honorary Jew anyways. Now it's no longer Judeo-Christian, just Judeo. Jeez. Bannon says, honored. I will drop the Christian and Christian Zionist. That's fucking, like, I know they're kind of joking around, but not really. They're definitely being serious about it. So I don't know. I could play. You know what? This stream has been going on long enough. It's almost 3 hours. So I think I'm just going to play you out on about 10 minutes of this guy here, CoffeeZilla. He's awesome. He's exposing Bannon and Epstein and how he's doing PR for him and how carefully constructed and pathetic this 2-hour interview that Epstein has had with Bannon that has been released everywhere And it's kind of a nothing burger because, like, not much of anything of substance has been said. However, it humanizes Epstein in a large way, and I think that's the purpose it was meant to serve, is that when all these things drop, they release this 2-hour interview, and Epstein just seems like a normal guy, and he's asked softball questions and made to seem like an intelligent guy who may have just, fucked a girl who was slightly underage once, or something like that. And it's funny because a lot of this weird interference that happens with this Pizzagate, this Pedogate, and this Jeffrey Epstein stuff, it's coming from the right. I think it's coming from Steve Bannon's camp. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, Mike Cernovich was running cover for Alan Dershowitz by pretending to uncover the Epstein case, but really he was just using litigation to harass the victims of Epstein on behalf of Alan Dershowitz, a co-conspirator of Epstein's. And then you have other people like, I don't know, all these MAGA Q-tards. I think that they were injected into the space in order to do what I mentioned with the Sunstein program, where they're injecting fake information in order to make it into a QAnon, like Hillary Clinton is eating the face of children and raping them, and, all this crazy shit. And then they get them to go and harass random celebrities that are involved. Maybe they had some slight involvement in something, but then they make them take it too far, and then it becomes a public safety issue that the government can use in order to shut down free speech, and then everybody gets banned off of all of social media, like what happened with the QAnon ban waves, which ended up banning a lot of people who were legitimately talking about pedophilia and Israeli Mossad scandals to do with that. And I think that Bannon in this like criminal Jewish network that operates with him and Epstein, that they're largely behind this, and they're covering up their own crimes with it. So I'm just going to read the chat before we go here and see you guys out while I play some of this clip here. Yeah, Bitcoin, COVID, everything, Epstein's got his fingers in it. Of course he does. I'm just reading the YouTube chat right now. Nick Fedtez. I haven't heard that one before, but get what you're saying. Dr. Genstein says, "Thanks for your level-headed take on all this craziness. Love you, man." Well, I appreciate it. All that crazy rape talk, and at the end of the day, you're just a sweet, loving man. Well, I appreciate you too, man. Appreciate your support. Good to see you too here. Tarps off. Thanks for sending me that video. Like, I was like, oh, what? This guy's sending me a fucking AI video, but then I watched it before the stream. I'm like, this actually really helps me explain a lot of things that I wouldn't otherwise get to explain to get this stream going. So thanks, man. I appreciate that. Anyways, let's check out CoffeeZilla. He's going to expose the Bannon connection to this, and then I'm going to log off the stream once this clip is done. So thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. It's been a long one. It's pretty late right now, but I hope a bunch of people catch this on the replay too as well, because there's some good information here.
It only gets worse from here. We're going back.
I bet it does. I bet it does. All right. Let's get to the Bannon part. All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a good night. There's about 10 minutes of this.
Them, even though there are emails basically to the contrary, where Epstein is saying, nice seeing you after the conviction. I mean, these people, not only are they lying, they won't even admit when they've been caught lying. But now let's talk about Prince Andrew too, who was caught lying over a woman.
Oh, sorry, wrong timestamp. Here it is.
DOJ has uploaded 2 documents that are functionally identical, and they redacted one but not the other, letting you see what's ultimately behind the mask, which is dumb because sometimes the thing they're redacting is Jeffrey Epstein's name. Or other times it's somebody who clearly is not a victim, because then you see the non-redacted copy and you're like, yeah, that's clearly not a victim. So it's a little strange what they seem to have done here. Let me give you a for instance. So we have this message from somebody whose name is blacked out, and we see participants, and then we see Jeffrey Epstein is involved, right? And it says, we need to work around your 38. We need to push back on the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Now, I want to know who's doing that. Who's trying to rebuild Jeffrey Epstein's image, right? Well, we go ahead, we scroll down, and we see that Jeffrey Epstein sends something. He says, in any bar where drinking age is 18, and you see the participant is once again blacked out. But underneath it, in a separate file, we see Steve Bannon, a famous political figure, is in here, and he's saying the same thing. He says, first, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Guys, why did you censor out his name? Or like, why was that censored at all? I don't understand. And I certainly don't understand why Jeffrey Epstein's name in this one is censored. So Jeffrey's not censored in this one, but Bannon is, and then Bannon's not censored in this one, and Epstein is. And sometimes this creates the bizarre impression that they are censoring for victim names or for some like kind of victim status or for some reason. And then you see the other file and you're like, why did you do this? It's just very poorly done throughout. That's just something I wanted to comment on, is not only did they once again not fully redact things because they were sloppy, but also like victims' names got stuck in this. Like girls' names appear sometimes, and like I'm not sure, are they supposed to be redacted? Because they're redacted over here, they're not over here. I can kind of figure out who it is. It's just kind of a mess. I needed to point that out. You know, other times we have things like this, like Brock Pierce, a co-founder of Tether, also known as the biggest stable coin in the world. He sent a message to Jeffrey Epstein with the subject line Anastasia, and then it's just a bunch of redacted stuff with a few untitled JPEGs in here. And so, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what is this? Is he sending some illicit media? Like, what is this? Well, then we have this page where it wasn't redacted. I put that little dark square that I didn't know if this should have been redacted or not. But it's like a bunch of JPEGs. Now, does that contain victims? Is Brock Pierce sending photos of victims? I don't know because of the way the government did this. But underneath, it says, the Ukraine is now my favorite country, smiley face, Brock Pierce, with the subject line Anastasia. I don't know what to make of that. I'm just saying the redactions, like the way they did this is not good. But now let's return to Steve Bannon and his we're gonna crush the trafficking narrative, because this guy, oh boy, has been revealed in the files to being like Jeffrey's right-hand PR man. I mean, this guy was filming basically a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein in order to rehabilitate his image. And some of it has actually leaked to the public. It's been interesting to watch how that's been received. But the funny thing is that originally Jeffrey Epstein's plan was to just do a YouTube video, like an apology, like a old school 2016, turn on the camera for authenticity and saying, you know, he says, do you think I can do my own video interview and upload it to YouTube? No sandbagging, interview format, or like a diary piece. Steve Bannon says if you do an interview, it can't be like Johnny does a YouTube. It has to be amazingly professional and perfectly cut. Then Jeffrey Epstein responds, Woody, we assume Woody Allen, because they were close, said he would help edit. Not sure how to stage, what points to make, but better than trying to do an interview that I have no experience doing. Goal is to humanize the monster. Anything written carries little weight, to which Steve Bannon replies, yes, Jeffrey Epstein, should it be an interview format, interviewed by me? They start talking about, like, how do we do this? Humor, apology, how did I get rich? Question mark topics. They're brainstorming. How do we trick the public into seeing me as more than a monster? Now, funny enough, right before this, Jeffrey Epstein asks about a dinner with Woody, and then he says, or too many pedos in one place. And you gotta love the self-awareness there. Now, I don't know what he meant by that. To be clear, I'm not making that accusation against Woody Allen. We'll talk about him in a second. That's Jeffrey Epstein saying that. I think what's interesting to point out, though, is how all these rich and powerful people are circling the wagons to try to protect Jeffrey Epstein's reputation, right? This is a guy who at this point has been known for years to have pled guilty to these 2008 charges. This was an open secret. And so Steve Bannon goes along though anyways, and he films this documentary. Now what's interesting is he starts talking about the documentary and he starts saying, I'm watching our second hour now. Guys were blown away. I didn't think it was as strong at the time, but I was wrong. Need huge part about threat of AI versus reality, threat of climate change. And this is where the notes start going back and forth of how can we get you to think of other things? So part of the conceit of this big interview of Jeffrey Epstein was to try to humanize him and actually present him as this genius, everyman, quirky guy with a few flaws, right? They knew they couldn't run away from the crimes. To quote, in Bannon's words, yes, 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 of course, but we must counter rapists who traffics in female children to be by world's most powerful, richest men. That can't be redeemed. Can't redeem the unredeemable. You are a lot of things which we will show, but you are not that. Bannon is aware that like they can't fully embrace the Epstein thing. They have to kind of make it about more than that. And if you see the YouTube clip going around, that's what that is. And it's been so interesting to watch the reaction because you see, even for people who've been prepped with the idea that this is basically propaganda, some of them still fall for it. They post things like, you know, oh, bro is casually confirming the world's conspiracies because he's talking about 2008. But guys, that's the whole deception. They're like trying to be like, hey, this guy, this horrible monster, he's going to tell you the secrets of the inside club. So you think more, that's the whole thing. That's how they're getting away with this. It's not some kind of, oh, he happened to want to talk about this. This is all premeditated. This has gone through revisions. They even called Jeffrey Epstein the smartest guy in the room.
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room, right? You know that.
It's honestly ridiculous anyone believes the false conceit of, you're obviously the smartest man in the room. You could tell us the world's secrets. I mean, this guy, honestly, he talks about some of his engagements, like with the Rockefeller board, and he tries to say that owning a calculator is why he got that.
It was very advanced in those days to have a Texas Instrument calculator where it could, by putting in the numbers, it would multiply for you to do square roots. And that was the first, and everyone who had a calculator was already advanced on Wall Street. The most important parts of business were really now going to calculations. Places like Rockefeller needed someone to say, look, we're entering a different world where numbers and the numbers of companies, portfolio management was going to be balanced. It was going to be statistical. Jeffrey, could you come on the board, potentially sit on the finance committee?
So we're honestly supposed to believe that Jeffrey Epstein got onto this prestigious Rockefeller board because he had a calculator, but also that he's the smartest guy in the room, the smartest man on Wall Street. And let's not talk about those horrific crimes he committed because, you know, he's not really such a bad guy after all. But it wasn't just Steve Bannon that was trying to humanize or giving advice on how to humanize Epstein. It was also Richard Branson, the famous billionaire. He was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Dear Jeffrey, it was really nice seeing you yesterday. The boys in water sports can't stop speaking about it. Anytime you are in the area, would love to see you as long as you bring your harem." I don't know, that's not that ambiguous, guys. I think we can imagine what that means. But anyways, he says, one, I think if Bill Gates was willing to say that you've been a brilliant advisor to him, that you slipped up many years ago by sleeping with a 17-and-a-half-year-old and were punished for it, that you've more than learned your lesson and have done nothing that's against the law since. And yes, as a single man, you have a penchant for women, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, something along those lines. He's giving him PR advice. How to get your reputation back. Hey, Jeffrey,